We have a massive New York Rangers trade update to go over today, as an NHL insider has revealed that something big is brewing for the Rangers and Chris Drury, and multiple insiders have linked the Rangers to a young star player in the league, and this should have Rangers fans absolutely fired up because this move is perfect, not only heading into next season, but for the future of this team and the roster. We're going to break it all down in this episode of Rangers Digest. But before we do that, a quick reminder to hit that subscribe button. About 74% of you who watch these videos are not subscribed to the channel. So if you want to stay up to date with everything that's happening with your New York Rangers, this is the place to be for all your daily New York Rangers content. So go down below, hit that free subscribe button. And again, you get to stay up to date with everything that's happening with the Blue Shirts. But let's dive right into it. A new report from Elliotte Friedman says that the Rangers are a team to keep an eye on over the next few weeks, and that Chris Drury is telling other teams that he is ready for offers, that he is open for business. And there's one player in particular, a young star that I mentioned off the top, we're going to get to in a bit. I don't think it's in the same trade, but I think there's multiple trades coming for the New York Rangers in the next couple of weeks. And Chris Drury, again, is letting teams know that the Rangers are open for business. And a lot of people don't like Elliotte Friedman and says what he says doesn't come true. When Elliotte Friedman comes out and says something, because there's a lot of insiders that just say things, right? There's a lot of them that just say things. When Elliotte Friedman says something, where there is smoke, there is fire usually. So it's going to be interesting to see what the Rangers end up doing, because we know they're going to be very active. Chris Drury is going to be very active this offseason. I think Chris Kreider's on the way out, and that's the next thing we're going to get to here, which is Elliotte Friedman again on the Real Kipper and Bourne show. And he said the biggest thing I get on Kreider is the health. I think the New York Rangers would like to trade him, and we know that they're trying to trade him. We know that. But the biggest question I heard was health. Just how healthy is he? And we know that he basically shattered his hand this past season. We know that he was dealing with an illness last season. We know that he's had back issues last season and before as well. And the back is the biggest thing to me, and I think that's what teams are asking about. But it's going to be interesting to see if they end up trading him. And again, the biggest question is health. So we know that the Rangers, per Elliotte Friedman, are about to be very active. It could be Chris Kreider. It could be K'Andre Miller on the way out as well. We know that Chris Drury wants to retool this defense core, but not only the defense core, the Rangers should be focused on making this team better all over the roster. It should be the number one priority, making this team better. And there is one player that is now linked to the New York Rangers by David Pagnotta as well. And he said suitors for the Wild center Marco Rossi include the Canadiens, Flames, Sabres, Canucks, Bruins, and the New York Rangers. Now, we talked about Marco Rossi on the channel a couple weeks ago and how it could be a fit, and there was a potential trade out there, a trade rumor, I should say, that was Marco Rossi for Alexis Lafreniere. Now, if you don't give up Alexis Lafreniere and you get Marco Rossi, it looks that much better, right? That's pretty good. Now, but I was very intrigued by that swap because I really like this player. I think Marco Rossi is going to be a star in this league. I think he's already, bordering that if he was given the opportunity that he should be given with the Minnesota Wild. So who is Marco Rossi? As you can see here, pretty good player. And in 82 games this season with a reduced role, he had 60 points. He had 24 goals and 36 assists. He's a 23-year-old center. He's not the biggest guy, but if you take a look at his projected salary heading into next season. Again, this is from Scotia Stat Projections. Shout out to them for the phenomenal work they do with their graphs here and the projections and obviously the comparables. You can see here that he's going to make probably upwards of $6 million on his next contract. And this is not a 60-point player. I think this is a point-a-game player if he's given the right opportunity and he's a second-line center on another team. Now, as you can see, some of his comparables around the same age as well. Quinton Byfield, Trevor Zegras, Owen Tippett, which I think is a very interesting comparison, especially with the goal scoring. Adrian Kempe, who's one of the most underrated players in the entire league, and Brandon Hagel. And if you take a look at all their salary cap hits there, they're all roughly the same. They're all 5.5 million to 6.5 million, right? So I think that's probably where he's going to come in at, probably 6 to 6.5 million. And again, I think if you're the Rangers, you can afford that if you make some moves, especially if you move out Chris Kreider. And if you're moving out Chris Kreider and you add Marco Rossi, boy, does that lengthen your lineup, because we will get to it. If you take a look at this, look at the third line for me here, and you move Zibanejad to the second line right wing spot there because he was playing great with Miller. That's great. Kreider would come out. You would move Trocheck, to me, down to the third line center. You would move Miller and make that entire line your first line. And then on the second line center position, you'd have Marco Rossi. And again, Marco Rossi playing with a guy like maybe Panarin, could be maybe Lafreniere. I mean, he is going to put up a ton of points playing with talent like that. So, you know, he's the talent himself. He drives play. He's a great player. And if you add him to this lineup with some of the high-end skill that the Rangers have, I feel like that could be a really good mix there. So the fact that he's linked to them is very good. I think you should be excited if you're a Rangers fan. And again, there is reason to be, you know, skeptical about this. He is 23 years old already at this point, right? He is only 5'9" and 192 pounds, right? Not the most physical player. And yes, the Rangers need more of that. But I don't know if you could pass up an opportunity on a guy like this who is most definitely leaving the Minnesota Wild. If you take a look at his last 2 seasons, he's played a total of 164 games. He has 45 goals, 55 assists for 100 points in those 164 games. He has 100 points in his last 164 games. This is a player that if you have the opportunity to acquire, you probably should. He's only going to get better, especially with a bigger role. And imagine he played some power play time as well, right? He was playing 4th line center for the Minnesota Wild in the playoffs. 4th line center. Absolutely ridiculous. No wonder he wants out of that team. So I think that it could be a very interesting opportunity here. And again, if you take a look at the lineup, I would put him at 2nd line center. You move Trocheck down to the 3rd line center. If you take a look at his J-Fresh chart, unbelievable. Again, if you take a look at the offense, not even that bad defensively either. 52%, not bad at all. We've seen some charts where, you know, the guys are like 90 percentile offense and they're like 20 percentile defense, just absolutely horrendous. This is a guy who's pretty decent all over the ice, and you can see here the finishing as well. Like, this is a good player given a better opportunity. So, you know, he's on the trade block. Why not go out and see what's up with this player? And you can see here, per sources from the Daily Faceoff, Marco Rossi's beefy contract ask might be in the range of Matt Boldy's 7x7. So like I said, it's going to be like 6 to 6.5, $7 million, something like that. If you get him on a 7x7, that contract's going to age beautifully, especially if it continues where his career is going in terms of point production. It's going to age beautifully. He's a great player. So it's something that I think the Rangers should take a look at. And again, he's on the block. You can take a look at the advanced analytics, 71% in terms of a impact forward. He's not necessarily a superstar star forward in the league yet, at least, but you know, with his current situation, he's still an impact forward, which is crazy. Again, this is a guy who's playing 4th line minutes and 4th line center on a playoff team when they were in the playoffs. I thought that was absolutely insane. So if you take a look at his stats from this season as well, and as you can see there, Jonathan Toews, another center option we were talking about in a video yesterday, but you know, if you take a look at his stats, and that's Jonathan Toews' J-Fresh chart from 2013, by the way, in case you're confused. But his stats this season, again, 60 points in 82 games. He was playing 18 minutes on average. He's going to be 24 years old. I feel like this player is not even scratching the surface of what he can be. So it's going to be interesting to see what ends up happening with Marco Rossi. But Chris Drury has poked his head into these trade talks, and I think it's a good thing. If you are a Rangers fan, it's something that they should consider. I'm not saying, you know, pull the trigger or anything like that necessarily. It has to work for the team, and it depends what you're giving up and if it works with the salary cap as well, because I would imagine it might be a sign and trade scenario maybe, but it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Let me know in the comments if you're a fan of Marco Rossi and if you would want Marco Rossi on the Rangers. I think if he's available and the Rangers are in trade talks here, it's something they got to look at and try to make happen. And then look at the defense as well. Defense is a big issue as well, but you have to try and trade Chris Kreider as well. But everything seems like it could be falling into place. From Elliot Friedman, the Rangers are going to keep an eye, or are a team to keep an eye on over the next few weeks. They're going to be busy. Kreider's health has been called into question. They want to move him. It's going to be interesting to see what they do. Let me know what you think in the comments, and if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with everything New York Rangers.